right?
I'd say Islam. Islam's so scary. I had a nightmare that I had to fight him. I woke up and I was like, oh God, thank God that was real, because I would knock that out.
Oh shit!
No,
you said it here first.
No, I actually woke up and I was like, I thought I was gonna walk out and fight Islam. Man.
You mean just because the way he can just grab onto you and just
he's so well-rounded, just skilled. But I'd say Islam's probably like that next.
What about
grappling with Islam once, and I try to throw him off of me, but he's still there. And so I give him a little harder shove, and he's still there. Next thing you know, I'm grappling at 100% because the dude's that strong. But again, I had never really grappled with him in that way, like at a decent pace. So I didn't recognize the strength when he was trying to keep me down.
I told you, Islam gonna take him to the deep ocean and make him tough. People have to understand, Islam is very good. I told you, Islam on another level. Doesn't matter who. I love this guy. We grew up together. He was my father's favorite student. Couple hours ago, you guys was talking about Charles gonna finish this guy. It was Charles Oliveira time. All world was talking about him. Now Islam make him easy. Now you guys gonna forget about Charles Oliveira. Doesn't matter who. We just wanna fight with the best because Islam is the best.
Man, honestly, similar to Khabib, his movement is really strange. The timing of it is really strange to get his cadence. I wanted to open up more and throw more volume, but he wouldn't. When he would commit to the pocket, he would exit weird. His dips with his head, I heard my corner telling me throw the knee the whole time. But I just felt like I might get taken down off of it. And his movement is just it's kind of awkward. It's a weird timing. So I couldn't get good combinations going. But everything else was what I expected.
But Makhachev, I'm going to tell you, somebody was telling me, who do you think's a better wrestler? Was it Makhachev or was it Khabib? And I think Makhachev is a better grappler, honestly. I think he's a little bit faster. I think with Khabib, I think he's just a little bit more, not timid of the freestyle that Makhachev presents, but I think Makhachev, he's not going to do so bad at 170. I think he'll be all right.
So Makhachev, can he fill the shoes of a George St. Pierre one day? He's amazing. I think right now he's the best pound for pound right now. His last few performances, just amazing. An amazing showcase of heart too, because he had a bad cut on his forehead, and Poirier gave him a tough time. I think that fight gonna make Makhachev even better, because these are the fight that make you grow. In terms of skill, Makhachev right now is the best fighter, but that doesn't mean if you're the best that you always win.
Islam is the best lightweight in the world by far with his performances, and I have no problem saying that. His hands are getting better. He just outstruck Poirier. He can out-grapple anybody, and I think he truly is doing it for more. He's got something deeper that he's fighting for. He's fighting for an entire village, an entire portion of the country, an entire religion, and an entire legacy for himself, and also Khabib and Khabib's father.
I still think Islam's skill for skill is just so high level. Islam's boxing is underrated. That dude is slick. His kickboxing, his timing, like he's underrated. He's a high-level black belt in every aspect of MMA.
Among fighters, there's a quiet truth nobody wants to admit publicly. Islam Makhachev scares people. Not because he trash talks or tries to intimidate. If anything, it's the opposite. His silence does the talking. More than one fighter has confessed off-camera that they've actually had nightmares about fighting him, waking up in a cold sweat after imagining that suffocating pressure he's known for. It's the stare that gets them first. Islam walks into the cage like he's entering a normal workday. No emotion, no nerves, nothing that opponents can read. That blank calmness makes elite strikers hesitate, and high-level grapplers rethink their entire game plan. To them, it's like fighting a man who already knows the ending. But the real fear comes from what he doesn't show. Islam never looks tired, never looks frustrated, and never gives a hint that something is wrong. The moment a fighter realizes he's not slowing down, even after moments where most mortals would break, that's when doubt creeps in. And once doubt shows up, the fight is usually over, but unsettling as this is, it's nothing compared to what the people inside his gym revealed. Because the real shock came from the fighters who trained with him daily. At American Kickboxing Academy, fighters learned quickly that Islam's dominance isn't hype, it's physics defying reality. Daniel Cormier, a former heavyweight champion who spent years throwing around 250-pound giants, still laughs when he talks about the first time Islam got on top of him. DC expected to simply bump him off the way a big man handles a much smaller training partner. Instead, Islam didn't budge, not an inch. Cormier pushed harder, still nothing. Within seconds, he realized he was using full strength just to escape a position that shouldn't have required effort. And DC isn't the only one with that story. Around AKA, teammates talk about Islam's strength the way you talk about a myth, something you don't believe until you feel it yourself. Sparring partners say that when he clamps onto a wrist or secures a body lock, it feels unfair, like he's hiding steel cables under his skin. Heavyweights, full-grown, elite championship-level heavyweights have admitted they couldn't peel him off once he decided to stick to them. Worse, he never drops intensity. While others pace themselves through rounds, Islam trains like every exchange matters. But even all of that doesn't explain why he became this good. Because then Khabib revealed the part of the story nobody expected. Inside the walls of their Dagestani gym, long before the cameras arrived, Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov had already chosen his next masterpiece. Among all his students, older, stronger, more decorated, he quietly favored one teenager, Islam Makhachev. Coaches noticed it. Khabib noticed it. Islam himself didn't. But Abdulmanap saw something in him that wasn't obvious to the rest of the world yet. Khabib once revealed a private moment that changed how he viewed his father's plans. Abdulmanap told him, "Your fire will fade. Islam's will rise." At the time, Khabib didn't understand what his father meant. But the old master wasn't talking about talent. He was talking about obsession. Islam trained in a different way. While others joked, talked, or rested between rounds, he drilled the same movements again and again, sometimes in complete silence for hours. Abdulmanap called it the deep ocean philosophy, the idea that a fighter doesn't win by force alone, but by slowly drowning an opponent, mentally making them feel hopeless long before the choke or the takedown comes. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't loud, it was discipline so intense it became destiny. But despite Abdulmanap's prophecy, rivals still believed Islam could be broken, until they met him in the cage. When Dustin Poirier stepped into the cage with Islam, he expected a grinder, someone strong, technical, and suffocating. What he didn't expect was how unnatural the whole thing felt. Poirier later explained that Islam's rhythm and footwork didn't match anything he'd prepared for. His timing was offbeat. His entries came from odd angles, and his exits felt almost rehearsed. "It was weird," Poirier said. "I couldn't get his cadence." And then came the squeeze. The moment Islam wrapped up that Darce, Poirier felt something he didn't think possible from a lightweight. It wasn't strength like a normal choke, it was a metal vise, closing in slow motion. He described it as torque, not pressure, like his head and arm were being twisted into place by a machine instead of a man. What stunned Poirier even more was Islam's composure deep into the championship rounds. Both men were fatigued, but Islam still looked calm, steady, and calculating, almost like he was pacing himself for another full fight. And when Poirier reflected on the finishing sequence, he said the line that stuck with fans, "I'd seen that move before. Just didn't think it was about to happen right there." But if that was Islam at lightweight, one champion believes he becomes even deadlier at a higher weight. Jack Della Maddalena didn't hesitate when asked about the challenge ahead. He didn't sugarcoat it, didn't pretend Islam was just another opponent. Instead, he gave the kind of honesty only a future champion dares to share. Islam Makhachev is a nightmare matchup at 170, not because of size, not because of hype, but because his style punishes every weakness a welterweight striker relies on. Jack explained that Islam's stance is deceptively simple, traditional, clean, nothing flashy. But that's the trap. Pure strikers depend on predictable rhythms to set traps, counters, and angles. Islam destroys those rhythms. His timing is too sharp, and his entries come without any of the tells most grapplers give off. He's harder to hit clean than people think, Jack said. And behind the scenes, the rumors are even more troubling. Sparring partners, some of them natural welterweights, say Islam hits harder than a lightweight should. Not one big punch, but a kind of accumulating power that makes you feel every shot the next morning. What scares welterweights most isn't the striking though, it's the control. They know Islam's top pressure doesn't just translate to 170, it might actually get worse. And heavier divisions have taken notice too. When a heavyweight praises a lightweight, it usually comes with a wink or a joke. But when Tom Aspinall talks about Islam Makhachev, there's no humor, just pure respect. Aspinall openly admired Islam's willingness to take short-notice fights, calling it the trait of a real champion. In his words, Islam not only accepts chaos, he thrives in it. That alone sets him apart mentally from most fighters, regardless of weight. But Aspinall didn't stop there. He said Islam is levels above everyone else mentally, which means something coming from a heavyweight who's fought killers his entire career. To him, Islam's composure, decision-making, and calm aggression look like the blueprint every fighter wishes they had. Behind the scenes, the whispers get even more absurd. Multiple wrestlers have claimed Islam held his own against 230-pound grapplers during training without getting tossed around, the way a smaller man normally would. It wasn't brute strength. It was balance. It was base. Heavyweights described it as unnatural, as though Islam was rooted into the mats while everyone else was skating on ice. When a lightweight earns that kind of respect from giants, you know he's different. But the strangest respect came from the man who was supposed to fight Khabib. Tony Ferguson has never been shy about speaking his mind, especially when it comes to Khabib or anyone in that Dagestani circle. But even Tony surprised fans when he admitted something nobody expected. He believes Islam Makhachev is a smoother and faster grappler than Khabib. Coming from a man who spent years preparing for a collision with the Eagle, that statement hit differently. Tony explained that Islam's transitions feel more fluid, more calculated, and more dangerous. With Khabib, the pressure was overwhelming, like a truck pinning you in place. With Islam, Tony said the danger comes from constant movement. Islam doesn't just hold positions. He melts from one dominant spot to the next with almost no warning. Fans immediately debated his comments. Some thought Tony was trolling Khabib, trying to stir the pot. Others believed he was simply giving credit where it was due. But intentional or not, the respect was there. A man who built his legacy on unpredictable chaos recognized the precision of a new generation. Tony even hinted that Dagestan has evolved since Khabib's prime. The younger fighters, Islam included, are mixing discipline with creativity in ways the world hasn't fully caught up to yet. And then GSP and top strikers weighed in with their own warnings. When Georges St-Pierre gives a fighter praise, it isn't casual, it's a verdict. And GSP didn't hesitate. He said Islam Makhachev is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now. Not the most famous, not the most hyped, simply the best. GSP admires the things only another all-time great can see: Islam's composure, his patience, and his ability to adapt mid-fight like a grandmaster adjusting pieces on a board. Michael Chandler echoed that sentiment from a completely different angle. He admitted he underestimated Islam, not his skills, but his purpose. Chandler said Islam fights for something deeper than rankings, legacy, family, faith, and an entire culture behind him. Once Chandler understood that, he said everything about Islam's dominance made sense. Then came Sean O'Malley, a striker who lives and breathes timing. O'Malley broke down why Islam's striking is massively underrated. His setups, his feints, his precision, they're all far sharper than people think. And when Islam head-kicked Volkanovski into shockwaves across the sport, Joe Rogan called him one of the most complete fighters we've ever seen. The truth is simple: Islam solved lightweight. He figured out every style, every puzzle, every challenger. And now he's coming for even bigger targets.